we had an ocean across the USA.
Work scope, project scope increase here. That's to be expected. So the previous owner told us about the steering issue, and we immediately verified that while driving it. This is a steering shaft that goes from the wheel, it's a steering column, from the wheel down to the rack. It's got this U-joint here. I borrowed Alan's hands to actuate that a few hours ago. Here's the clip. Digged. So that'll do it. I had to do it on my 330xi. Pretty much the same thing. So that's new. I haven't driven the car yet, but the new U-joint is super, super silky smooth. So that should take care of that issue. Then we had kind of nasty looking rotors, noticeable wear lip front and rear, more so on the rear. Take a look at the front pads. Pretty much nothing there. Just before the wear sensor, I don't know where the fourth one went, but it was in the car. Replaced the spring clips too, they're probably original. Rear pads did have more meat, but when you're doing rotors, you need to do pads too. I learned that the hard way once. Then we have the driver's door handle carrier, and that is a Euro part, which is why it only lasted 8 minutes. So we've got a genuine BMW part in there now, almost reassembled, just waiting a piece. And these are our front thrust arms, probably original. Really, there's no reason to replace the arm here. You can just replace these inner bushings, which of course fail and crack out like this. And it's weird with all-wheel drive. In the standard E60s and E39 sedans, you can just go down a hill and just kind of tap the brake pedal like this, and you'll feel the front axle clicking back and forth as these bushings are moving around. Look, I should not be able to move that easily with just 2 fingers. But with the all-wheel drive system, the front axles actually kind of add a layer of complication to that, and you can feel the clicking from that too. But went ahead and replaced the whole arm, Miley HD, so we get better interior bushings. The X5 actually has these ball joints separate, which is really weird. Looks like he put them back to, he just left them together like this. So the ball joint can be removed from the end of the control arm with that nut, and then the ball joint bolts up into the wheel carrier with some studs that thread into the carrier and then nuts on that. So everything's new now, and that should resolve that issue. Then the scope increase. So we got the car in the air today for the first time and grabbed this wheel, click, 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 click. These upper control arms are absolutely shot, both guide links and wishbones. Good news is they're pretty cheap, like way cheaper than any 39 sedan. So we've got 4 upper control arms coming tomorrow. We've increased the scope to include the brake shoes, which I assume are original, and just starting to crack and look nasty. That stuff's cheap. We're right here. You know how this goes. So full new brakes in the back. Hopefully the bearings, we're not going to mess with the rear bearings. They're bolt-in bearings in the back, which I like. And it's an E39 parking brake, just rotated 90 degrees clockwise. You have your cable coming in from the front, your adjustment screw at the bottom. Other than that, it's the exact same kit. I noticed today with the car in the air that both headlight level sensors were installed improperly. So see how it kind of hinges out towards me, towards the outside? It was hinged inside, which explains why we have 2 signal errors, front and rear signal error, in the LRA, or headlight adjustment module. So with that fixed, hopefully the sensors are still good and they were just getting data outside of the specified parameters, which would make sense. So we got that fixed. Then in the front, we're gonna go ahead and do the front straight arms as well. Those look, actually they're really cheap. A, B, these are original. Inner bushings are not looking too good. And then the fun one, find out we need some axle shafts. Both fronts have torn and leaking CV boots. So they're coming tomorrow. We've done E53 front axles before, it's not impossible. Obviously both axle shafts and then the output seal on the differential as well. So that will allow us to turn these bearings by hand and probably determine that they're shot. They're still original. I hope that they're not. I'll have to check availability and see if that's something I can even get. And it looks like they're pressed in to the knuckle, not screwed in, which I hate. Terrible design, but we'll see. Struts appear to be original, not leaking. Probably not full pressure anymore, but not leaking. We're gonna do front links. They're cheap, and the ball joints are, ball joint boots are all dry and cracking out. Headlight cleanup yesterday was really good. I'm actually impressed with that for like 10 minutes. Then we had this little piece here that goes from our intake cowl down into the box, and this corrugated part was about half gone, so that got replaced today. We've got fresh hood struts on here. They were working. They were tough support or some crap aftermarket Chinese bullshit. They would hold the hood up for about 15 minutes and then zoop, hood slams. So a wee stable us back in position. Handles on, I'm just waiting on the black trim that surrounds the lock cylinder here. The other one was broken, so it kind of hangs off. That's a cheap part coming from the dealer, so we'll get that back in, and then it screws in from the inside of the door with that little Allen key. Going with Zimmerman rotors in the rear, supposedly the OE, and then up front we've actually got Brembos, again, supposedly the OE. So those will be going in hopefully tomorrow. Got some hardware, we're doing a fuel filter preventively. Rest of the brake stuff is here. And then in terms of driveline, the flex discs appear to be original. They're kind of dry. I think that's another can of worms. I don't think we need to dig into that quite yet, but certainly in the next couple of years, that'll be something that needs to be addressed. This thing shakes at idle. And the other Silver 01 E53 X5 we service in here has the same problem. We've rebuilt the transmission, replaced the torque converter, engine mounts, transmission mounts, spark plugs, coils, knock sensors. There's no codes in the engine. Driveline looks absolutely fine. It's been aligned. He's replaced the engine. I mentioned we rebuilt the transmission. Like, we've done everything and it just shakes. So I don't know, maybe inline 6 E53 shake at idle. That's just how it is. We got a new roundel today. Other one was flaking apart, so that's pretty again. And then in the back here, these interior lights were falling out with broken tabs. So they've been replaced. I found a Sirius antenna that somehow I missed earlier in the week, up on the roof, right above the windshield there. You can see the dirt spot I've got to clean up still, but the antenna was just shoved down here under this rubber molding and then underneath the door gasket into the interior. I think he's removed it. Sergio removed it all the way over now to the passenger side, so we'll have to do a little bit of console disassembly to figure out where the other end of that is. There must be an aftermarket module in there now, or there was at some point. Here's the swamp cooler. Not super impressed. It blows air maybe 2 degrees cooler than the ambient air, and it's quite humid. But we get these ice packs that we haven't tried yet, so maybe that'll cool it down. Imola Red is running and driving beautifully without codes, which is awesome news. Problem is the radiator decided to crack on us, so got a radiator coming tomorrow now. Calipers for this came back. 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks we had to wait for these things. He wanted them refinished like this. They're in a high gloss silver with the M colors painted in. We've got new retainer clips, obviously new pads, freshly rebuilt calipers looking good. Looks like he used the 530i clip for some reason, which includes that, or the inline 6 clip. You don't need that on the M5, though it doesn't hurt. He's got the Dynon sway bar in here, a little, what do you call those, reinforcement plates on the brackets. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is kind of nice. Okay, I gotta get the hell out of here. I gotta order a bunch of parts tonight and respond to more messages. And we have so many cars out back. They're not stacked because 1, that thing's heavy. I don't trust it any higher than that overnight. 2, this thing may still be leaking brake fluid, which I don't want on paint. Talk to you on Thursday.